All right, we are live. Welcome back to Barstool Units, episode 65. I'm Coach Doug's. With me, as always, Frank the Tank Fleming. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's baseball all-star break, so I guess you could take a few days off of stressing about the Mets. Trade deadline's coming in 2 weeks, so that's going to be the next interesting thing to talk about. Pete Alonso might have fell short in the home run derby, but he didn't do poorly. He just went up against someone who had a better home run number. I mean, it could be worse. He could have been Kyle Schwarber. I mean, that man, he blew it.
Yeah. What did he have, like 12 going into the bonus time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was going against Grandpa Pujols. Albert Pujols hit 13 home runs. He actually took his gloves off, gave them to another player. He was basically like, and Albert Pujols just looked over at Schwarber and said, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?" He didn't. He was done. He didn't even want to go out for like the next round.
Yeah. And then and then he won it. He won that round.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be. I mean, if you're a fan of any team that plays Kyle Schwarber and he's hitting bombs on you, I mean, watching that must just be dreadful. Like, how is this guy hitting bombs on my team? I mean, whoever that might be, just I can't imagine being that team.
Well, he should have asked former Met Jerry's Familia to throw the pitches for him. He plays for the Phillies now, and and I think he hit like 5 home runs off of Familia last year, if I can recall. And as the Phillies have started winning since Jerry's Familia has basically been buried in a bullpen and only comes out whenever it's a mop up situation. Not a coincidence.
I didn't notice that connection. I thought the connection had to do with the manager.
Well, that helped too. Girardi had Familia in every game. Did your sound go out?
No, the light's clicking. It sounded like water dripping. And I want to make sure
No.
there's no water. The light's clicking. But yeah, so you're back in town now. You had another little road trip with Abe. This one, what a week long, hitting up
A
all the
week long.
hitting up all the Hall of Fames.
All the Hall of Fames and hit some baseball games on the way. And the
Hmm.
USL Championship game, of course.
Of course, of course. Which the Stallions won barely. I don't know. That whole the playoffs. I didn't get one right. Playoffs and the championship game. That killed me to end that way. I was having a really good USFL betting record, and I still ended up on top even with all the juice and everything. But that killed me. The way they worked out, and the Stallions to win but not cover. It's just garbage. But that was the game there.
But hit the 4 Hall of Fames. It's amazing. Look at the 4 Hall of Fames. We got football, which is great. You got all those busts. The only thing that
Hmm.
the only thing that has more busts in the NFL Hall of Fame is the Jets quarterback room. The only thing that has more bust is the Jets
I
quarterback
heard.
room.
Yeah, I heard you.
Uh, went to Canada. It was actually the first. Went up to Canada. It was actually the first time I ever left the United States.
Oh yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Well, we got up to Canada and realized that we needed to download an app and tell them why we were coming to Canada. So they
Hmm.
pulled us aside and questioned us for 30 minutes, and
They
then
questioned you,
finally,
Frank the Tank, for 30 minutes.
yeah, they looked through the car, I guess,
Hmm.
and then
You got strict.
had to show them the Vax records and everything, and finally
Mhm.
they said, okay, next time you come, make sure you have that app and everything ready.
Yeah.
It's called the Arrive Can Map. So if you're going to Canada and you don't know about this, download the Arrive Can app. It'll make the
Yeah,
whole process.
or just don't go to Canada. Stay in this wonderful country, the United States.
Yeah, but I wanted to see
Okay,
the
all
Hockey
right.
Hall of Fame.
So
And
well,
if you
that's
want to
yeah.
see,
I'm sure they can appreciate that.
and if you want to see the Niagara Falls, you have to go see it on Canada. They have this great mini golf place that's dinosaur themed and has a volcano that erupts every 2 or 3 minutes, and you can actually feel the heat coming off the erupting volcano.
Like during your backswing, it just erupts whenever it wants.
Yeah, it's like a volcano, and it has
Huh.
like it's like a flame that comes out of it. I'd say one thing about Canada that's interesting is their money. Their money feels funny. Of course,
Yeah.
KB burnt
What?
my KB set my $5 bill on fire, but
Uh-oh.
yeah, that happened on the Yak last week. But here's the funny
Yeah.
thing about Canada money: it feels almost like it's plastic, and
Yeah.
you can't tear it.
Well, I mean, Frank, maybe you can't tear it.
No,
I would
everyone on
say
the
that.
Yak can tear it. Everyone on the Yak
Really?
is trying to tear it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
we're
they have it's the same way over in Europe. They don't
so
use paper, plastic.
so with the Canadian money, Hockey Hall of Fame is actually in a former bank that was like 100 and something years old, like 150 at least years old,
Hmm.
and they have this vault and trophy room where everything's on display. That's where they have the plaques. They have hockey as the bust. They have these plates, these engraved plates with the player's face on it and a little profile in English and French. And that's how the Hockey Hall of Fame is set up. It has this in this room with all the trophies. This
Yeah.
now there's two Stanley Cups and the original Stanley Cup. The original Stanley Cup was retired, and that's now in a bank vault in a vault that you can walk through inside this area where the trophies are.
So,
And it's got a
so there's,
stained
there's
glass ceiling. It's got a stained glass ceiling. They have two cups. One's the presentation cup. That's the one the players go, and that's one that goes on tour, goes everywhere. And you have the display cup, which stays at the Hall of Fame, so people can take pictures with it and look at in the Hall of Fame.
so there's three cups.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the original
Are there
real
two or
Stanley
three?
Cup, if you can't, there's two active Stanley Cups and one retired.
Okay, gotcha. So the
And they
NHL Hall of
retired. They retired the original Stanley Cup, the one that Stanley of Preston purchased in 1893. It was starting to get a little brittle, so they retired it, and now that's on permanent display inside this vault. And you can walk through the vault, and when they take the rings off the Stanley Cup, when the Stanley Cup fills up with too many names, they take a ring off.
Mm-hmm.
Those retired rings are hanging
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame.
Nice. So you like the NHL Hall of Fame? I know
Yeah.
you like the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yep. And there's
That was
nothing like the
Cooperstown.
baseball. There's nothing like the Baseball Hall of Fame. If it was accurate, it would be in Hoboken, but it wouldn't have the heart if it was in Hoboken. It's a little village out there in the middle of nowhere, central New York, upstate New York. It's such a pastoral setting. It's like it's on like it's something you see on Courier and Ives. Main Street strip. You got all these baseball shops, hat stores, memorabilia stores, card stores. And when the Hall of Fame induction comes, and that's going to be this weekend actually, the Hall of Fame induction, a lot of Hall of Famers come there, and they're signing that weekend. There's a parade down Main Street the night before the induction ceremony with all the Hall of Famers that decided to show up that weekend, going down the Hall of Fame routes. And people put their chairs out there like hours before the parade to reserve their spot, and then they go out there,
Yeah.
sit out there, watch the parade. And I mean, it truly is a dedication to baseball. You got the plaques, the plaque gallery. Plaques are always well done in baseball. And then,
Nice. All right. So all the Hall of Fames are pretty nice.
except for one,
Oh, which one is that?
it's the Airball Hall of Fame, also known as the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's in the strip
What's
mall.
wrong? Frank, you've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame twice now. What's wrong with it?
the artifacts, they're not as they should have more artifacts. The fact that they
Okay, like specific because I went the first time you went. It's in Springfield, Mass. It is in a strip mall. But I went with you. What they had basketballs, sweaters, rings, jerseys, uniforms, shoes. What else? I mean, what else? What else could they have?
the fact that they don't have any type of picture or plaque live that you can like touch it and just watch and see of
They
all
had
the
videos
countries.
like
Yeah, but you can look at the videos up online. You could what you go to those computer terminals in the middle of the Hall of Fame. There's only four terminals. So if there's
that.
a whole bunch of people in the Hall of Fame, you're standing around waiting for someone to look up the Hall of Famers. You have a wall with the Hall of Famers' names.
Okay.
And here's another thing. At the Football Hall of Fame, they have every Super Bowl ring. At the
Okay.
Baseball Hall of Fame, they have nearly every World Series ring. And basically, they have every World Series ring the last 90 years. I think the only years they're missing is like 1929 and then a few in the few like 1908, 1909, 1910. Those rings they don't have.
Okay.
But they have
Yeah.
basically every ring for the last 90 years and 95% of the rings overall. Hockey is not too good. They have like maybe 50% of the Stanley Cup rings.
Okay.
Basketball,
So we're talking about just rings.
yes.
Okay.
So we're talking about a display case of every Super Bowl ring, every World Series ring, about half the Stanley Cup championship rings. Basketball, the only rings that are really on display are the ones that Kobe Bryant donated after he died. His wife gave like a whole bunch of stuff. Kobe Bryant really truly believed in the Hall of Fame. They gave him money, an endowment. They gave the Hall of Fame a lot of stuff to help keep the Hall of Fame running. Because the NBA doesn't give jack shit to the NBA to the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I ended up talking to a curator. Says that the NBA would actually wishes the Hall of Fame went out of business so they could start their own Hall of Fame. And it started about 25 years ago when the guy who runs the Basketball Hall of Fame and the former commissioner David Stern had like a big fight, and it's like the NBA basically ignores the Hall of Fame. Everything they get comes from the players, and the modern players, aren't as good as giving as players that were around 20 years ago.
Okay. So your issue with the NBA Hall of Fame is that they don't have NBA championship rings on display?
That's one issue. They don't have the players' faces.
Frank, you can look those up online.
But when
if
you
you want
go
to see what they look like.
when you go to Hall of Fame, I mean, you went to the Football Hall of Fame. You saw all the rings. How impressive that was!
I did see the guy tried to entice you with the rings because you were spending too much time in the bust room, and they were trying to close.
Yeah,
the guy said, "Hey, we have a bunch of shiny rings at the end of the tour. You want to see those?" And you said, "No, I'm okay." You didn't. You told the guy you didn't even want to see him.
Well, I want to see the bust first. It only takes 2 minutes to see the rings.
I mean, okay, so you're mad that you didn't get 2 minutes to see rings at the NBA Hall of Fame or the Basketball Hall of Fame.
There's just so much. There's so much lacking at the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Rings specifically.
Rings, plaques of all the players should be hanging.
Didn't they used to? Okay, so all right. But what does the NBA have to do with? I mean, the NBA is not associated with the Basketball Hall of Fame, are they?
No, in fact, they don't give a flying fuck about the Basketball Hall of Fame. The
Okay.
the National Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. They put college, women's college, international.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All of them are within the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And the NBA feels that I don't know that they should have their own Hall of Fame, but why don't they start their own Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I
That's
mean
the case.
that's a fair question, but I mean I don't think they owe anything to this random organization that happens to claim they're the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, I can start a Basketball Hall of Fame. Frank, you can start a Basketball Hall of Fame today if you wanted to.
That would be like the NBA the NFL shutting off the Football Hall of Fame, which they embrace. They have a Hall of Fame game that's coming up next month.
Yeah.
Induction ceremony. The NFL embraces and hugs the Hall of Fame. Baseball embraces and hugs the Hall of Fame.
What do you mean by Frank? What do you mean by embrace and hug? We're talking about corporate entities here. You're talking about a company is hugging another company. What does that even mean?
Well, embrace it endorses and it supports it, like promotes the Hall of Fames, which promotes the history. The NBA is almost like in a situation now is, look who we got now. We got stars. Watch these stars. Don't care about our future, our past.
Didn't they just have a huge 75 anniversary thing where they named all these players to the 75-year team and when they had the All-Star weekend with the 3-point dunk or the dunk contest and all that, weren't all those players there with blazers on with the with the diamond or whatever?
Yeah, but how come
that's not? They don't embrace the past when that was a huge part of their All-Star game.
How come they're not giving those blazers to the Hall of Fame? How about
I think those players have the blazers, Frank.
Yeah, and
you want the NBA to take the blazers back from the players just to give them to the Hall of Fame? Why shouldn't they belong to the players? You want to take away from the players? They're not. I mean, hey, you were a great basketball player, and here's this blazer from the NBA to commemorate you're on the team. And then, oh, hey, by the way, give me back the blazer because you can't have it. I mean, that's ridiculous, Frank.
Well, they have a Hall of Fame jacket at the Football Hall of Fame. I don't think it actually belongs to somebody, but they could have made an extra jacket that nobody player actually wore and put that jacket on the display with the names.
Again, I'm going to ask one more time. What reason does the NBA have to go out of their way to donate equipment or?
Because it's selling the sport. You know the problem with the NBA.
Right? Is it selling the sport? Are people going to Springfield, Massachusetts? People going to Springfield, Massachusetts to go to a strip mall to look at NBA players' names on a glass board. That's a big part of their sport.
That's what their Hall of Fame is. There's no plaques. Then that's my major problem with it. There's no plaques.
And whose fault is that? The Hall of Fame. So you're saying the Hall of Fame sucks, but also you want the NBA to give stuff to this Hall of Fame that sucks.
Maybe if the NBA was actually giving stuff to it. Maybe if the NBA was giving stuff to it, it would help boost and rise the Basketball Hall of Fame to the level it should be.
Maybe, but there's no duty. There's no duty for the NBA. They have no reason to.
Do you know the Basketball Hall of Fame is basically only open 6 hours a day? And
I don't see why that's.
And they reserve it out for banquet halls.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the reason they took down they used to hang up pictures of the Hall of Famers. They took them down because they're running out of space. Well, you know what? How about you tell Subway to go fly a kite and expand? I mean, they got a fucking Subway in the goddamn Hall of Fame.
You're getting upset about a organization that runs a Hall of Fame. Frank, if you don't like the Hall of Fame, why don't you start your own Hall of Fame? And that's not a if you don't like it, leave it kind of situation. I'm saying if you think it should be better, do something about it. Start Frank the Tank's start Frank the Tank's Basketball Association or a Basketball Hall of Fame.
I tell you what, the NBA basically needs.
You keep bringing up the NBA though. Like what? The NBA has no reason to give to the Hall of Fame anything. It's like, hey, here's a cool jacket. Put it in the Hall of Fame that nobody goes to because it's. I mean, we don't know what their organization system is. We don't know where the money goes.
But there's got to be something. It's got to be better. The amount of artifacts.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the NBA, though. You're telling me the Basketball Hall of Fame couldn't be great on its own. You're telling me the Basketball Hall of Fame has to be subsidized by the NBA in order for it to be good.
I'm not saying to be fully subsidized, but the NBA needs to help.
Well, no, subsidized doesn't mean they pay for everything.
Yeah,
there are programs. You're saying the Basketball Hall of Fame can only be great if the NBA gives them money in some form or another. If that's the case, no, it's money and monetary compensation in some or whether something of value. If that's the case, if the Hall of Fame can only be good if the NBA gives them things of value, then why would the NBA even do that? Why wouldn't the NBA just start their own Hall of Fame?
I mean, do you know what you did?
The National Basketball Hall.
Baseball now has a guy at every game, an authenticator.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to every game. And if someone gets a big hit, they take the ball to hand, and he sits by the dugout. He puts a barcode on it and logs it. If there's a major record that gets set in a game, he logs it with that barcode. And if it's like something big, baseball will say, okay, the Hall of Fame wants that. And almost everyone, it's just like, oh, here you go. You sent to the Hall of Fame. Football.
Which is the player's decision, right? That's the player's decision, right? The MLB says, "Hey, the Hall of Fame wants this." It's the player's decision whether they want their property sent there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then why don't you give the same opportunity for the NBA players? Why is it on the NBA as an organization and not the players? Why aren't you mad at NBA players for not sending their stuff into the Hall of Fame? Why is it on the organization?
Well, the NBA actually
this is how ridiculous it is, Frank.
But this guy I'm talking to, this curator, says that the NBA basically just wants them to go away.
That may be true, Frank, but this is how crazy this is my argument comes across as if I'm defending the NBA.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like that you're defending the NBA.
That's what it sounds like. That's how crazy
it sounds like you're defending the NBA.
That's how crazy it is what you're saying. That it sounds that the opposition sounds like I'm defending the NBA. Why is it not on the players? Why don't you hate the NBA players for not sending in their property to the Hall of Fame?
Well, the guy says that the NBA is actually the players are better than the league.
Which is even more of a reason to question why don't the players do it? If the players are more important than the league, then why are you not mad at NBA players for not sending in their property to be displayed?
The guy said up until about 10 years ago, the players were good at sending it. And now it's like the players now are not as good as they used to be.
Okay, so it's on the players, not on the NBA.
If the NBA did what baseball did with the authenticator, if they did what the NFL did and what the NHL does, and revered the Hall of Fame, I think the players would follow suit.
Well, maybe if it was a better Hall of Fame, they would.
Maybe it would be better if the NBA reviewed it.
Yeah, we'll never know. We'll never know.
But we've also been to the Golf Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the golf. Yeah, well, I mean, well, Frank, almost all of the first floor of the Golf Hall of Fame was donated by Bob Hope's wife.
Yeah, well,
yeah. That's. I mean, we're talking about family. We're talking about players and family donating items.
Yeah, well, Kobe Bryant has a wing in the Hall of Fame because his wife donated everything he had. He had shoes, jerseys, all his rings are there.
It sounds like what you're saying. If more players donated their items, then the NBA or the Basketball Hall of Fame would be a good Hall of Fame. That's what it sounds like. That's what you're saying. It sounds like what you're saying is if other players took Kobe's, actions to heart and they took that as an example, that they would also donate their property to the Hall of Fame. That sounds like what you're saying.
I mean, here's an example of things that should be in the Hall of Fame, like the jersey of like a big shot, shoes,
okay,
basketballs. I mean, they really it really needs to be more. And to me, they put a bunch of computer terminals up and say, look what we have. You can watch these videos of the past. I can watch the videos at home. Then they have a basketball court down below where people could shoot at all different types of hoops. I actually shot one into a peach basket.
Yeah. And I don't know. It sounds like you don't like the Hall of Fame, but you also don't like the NBA players or the NBA. It sounds like you don't like the NBA. It sounds like you don't like basketball.
Well, I like college basketball.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, well, did you hear about what Goran Dragic said?
No, I did not.
He spent like the last half of the season with the Nets last year and said it was the worst experience of his life. There was no direction on the team. And everyone was just talking about, I got my shots. And that a player came off the floor mad that he made 2 straight shots and asked Steve Nash to take him out of the game. And Steve Nash took him out of the game. When he was taken out of the game, the Nets had a 16-point lead, and they ended up losing the game by 9 points because basically the players were more concerned about their stats and their shots than anything else. And after games, players would just talk about the stats. They didn't care about if they won or lost. All they cared about was their stats. And that Steve Nash is basically not a coach. He's just basically whatever the players want, he would do. And it's everything I've noticed all season that was just pissing me off about the team. Goran Dragic basically said, yep, you're right. And it's a total disaster. And the problem with the NBA is it's not what's on the front of the jersey, it's on what's back of the jersey, and that's why the league sucks.
So the Hall of Fame sucks because players don't send in their stuff, and the NBA sucks because players are only worried about themselves. I mean, I don't see how the follow-up question to those two statements is not, are you an NBA fan? It sounds like you hate the Hall of Fame and you hate the players and you hate the league. It sounds like you don't like the NBA, which begs the question, why are you an NBA fan? Why are you a Brooklyn Nets fan? If you hate,
I don't know.
If you hate the league, you hate the team, you hate the players, you hate the Hall of Fame. I mean, I
don't know. I honestly don't know. And the NBA right now is a mess. And I'm hoping, against all hope, that Adam Silver and the owners band together and say, we're taking our league back. We're going to make it about the team name. We're going to make it about the team. We're going to make it about winning championships and not the players being able to band together and play with their buddies and just like it's crazy. There needs to be a balance. And right now the NBA is so out of balance, so out of whack that a player could sign a 4-year contract extension and just say, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me.
Yeah, I mean, again, it sounds like you like. It sounds like you are not a fan of anything related to the NBA.
Right now, it's a shit league. There's no doubt about it. It's a shit league, and
But are
maybe a
you still
shit league. What?
are you going to watch the NBA games? Are you going to cheer on the Brooklyn Nets? Again,
I don't know
I
what we're
just
going to do next season. I don't know what we're going to do next season. I'm hoping that the
well,
Devils are better. So I have
well,
I'm
Frank,
too much
Frank, that
time
has
watching the
nothing to
Devils.
do with the New Jersey Devils. Have nothing to do with the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, if the Devils are so good that I'm spending all my time watching hockey, I'm not watching basketball.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Just a little quick summary. Frank hates the NBA and everything to do with it, but I don't know, Frank. We'll have to talk to somebody else about that one.
I'll I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. I'm going to be watching probably more Seton Hall next year than Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. The well, speaking of negative, Frank, on Twitter, you can't be negative until August 1st. How's that
Yeah,
going?
well, I actually found a private message group where I'm now sending my negative tweets.
And just to clarify, I am not in that group.
Do you want to be in it?
No. I was letting the people know that I am not in that group. Abe brought it up. Your god brother Abe brought it up and mentioned that
Yeah, he created it.
uh, yeah, he mentioned that there would be a group, and that and I pretty much told him my association with the group ends. It is at the extent to which I know the group exists. That is my association with that group. It
Well, you
was
remember that
physically,
night?
it
You
was
remember that night
physically and mentally.
when you were tweeting for me?
Yes, and it was literally it was exhausting, physically, mentally, emotionally, and I'll never do it again.
Well,
But
that's the thought that goes
so
through my
you're
head
still
every. That's the thought that's going through my head every Met game.
that's sick. That is twisted. It's sick. It's depraved, and we're yeah. So you found an outlet. You have
Yeah,
instead of tweeting. Okay, so here's the question: if if you have this new outlet there, come August 1st, are you going to go back to tweeting,
I
or
don't
do you,
know.
or okay? So this might be a new opportunity where hey, you have a place you can send your negative thoughts, get them out of your head, send them to people who will listen, and maybe make your timeline a little less dark.
Yeah, I might. I
All
might do
right,
that.
good deal. All right, good deal. All right, so well, I just we had Dave Portnoy show earlier today to talk about Rough and Rowdy. I went on there with Alex Bennett, and I'm at the table. I'm at the table. We'll see. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't think anybody else wants to speak out of turn. So we'll see. But I'm training. I will be fighting a Rough and Rowdy 18 on August 19th. I'm fighting for America. I'm going up against a guy. He calls himself the Canadian Butcher. I'm not sure why he calls himself a butcher. That might be his profession.
Well,
I'm going.
maybe he sends all the food to Harvey's.
Yeah, Frank. Nobody understands that reference at all.
People in Canada do.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Harvey's is a Canadian fast food chain. I actually reviewed a hot dog there, and what it basically is it's a fiercely Canadian. Everything we make is Canadian. We will never go to America. We're
That's
only in
like
Canada, only
that's
for
their
Canada.
pitch.
Yeah, that's their
That's
like
their
pitch.
pitch.
All our food is Canadian. We use Canadian beef, Canadian chickens, Canadian eggs, Canadian bakers, Canadian potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that we put into it is Canadian. And we will never go. We will never. We will only be in Canada. We will never leave Canada, and we will only be in Canada. Basically, is like how the whole pitch of this whole place is.
Yeah. So it's Canada first.
Yeah, and they have like the
Frank,
sign has Harvey's. It's got the apostrophe is a maple leaf.
Frank, I feel like there's a little pattern coming here because I think weren't you in Pennsylvania and you went into a hot dog place that was pretty much if you don't like Trump, get out.
Yep.
Was that in Pennsylvania?
Yes, it was.
So I guess
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, not too far from the campus of Penn State.
Sounds like there's a pattern of restaurants that you go to.
Well, I just pick them out. I pick them out on the phone.
I didn't. I'm not. I'm just saying it just seems to be, seems to be starting a pattern there. Well, so
Harvey's I guess Harvey's is just trying to go for the Canadian market. Yeah. It's like they have McDonald's up there, they have Wendy's up there, they have Burger King up there. So they're competing with those brands and saying, those Americans, fuck them. We're Canada. We're here. We're not going to America. We're just here. We're just here for you. Come to Harvey's if you want some hamburgers and hot dogs and chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
we're Harvey's. We're Canada. We're you. We got the maple leaf flying proudly here.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So, well, I'll be fighting this Canadian guy. I'm not sure how tall he is. He might be 6 foot, but I think he's 500 pounds. So it's going to be a lot of weight in that ring. But yeah, the fight's happening. I'm going to training. Actually, I got to head out in just a few minutes here to go to train today.
Well, we've seen that you started training. First day was pretty tough, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the first day. I mean, it's the first day. First day is always going to be tough. But yeah, once I didn't throw up in the gym, so that was nice. I almost took a little nap in the basement where we were training and everything. It was a bit much. I almost took a nap, almost fell asleep. But once I got back up the stairs and onto the street level and puked my guts out, it felt really nice. I don't know if you've ever. I don't know. I think it might have been the first time that I threw up, and I felt so much better afterwards. Like it was all just water. It was all water. And once I got it out of me, I was like, oh, it's kind of nice. Yeah. So I'm shedding a lot of water weight for Rough and Rowdy, and yeah, the training's going well. I mean, I'm excited for it. But that leads us to this past weekend, Frank. So Saturday I came to train. No days off. So I came in the city to train. And you went to a Jackals game?
Yep, Jersey Jackals on the campus of Montclair State University, my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
A nice
little
bobblehead of Jack the Jackal.
Yep.
It's a fun cheer league.
Sunday.
Sunday we went to Torricio's first. Had enough food to last us for 3 weeks.
I still have half the sandwich in my fridge, which I should probably eat it today before it gets bad. But yeah, Torricio's, it's like just straight up New York, New Jersey deli.
And basically,
I should have asked for I should have asked for like half a serving.
The sandwiches,
the amount of meat. Yeah,
you have to be the cone heads. You have to expand your jaw like this wide because of how stuffed you put. I mean, these sandwiches are just the biggest sandwiches you've ever seen. And they're in Red Bank or near Red Bank, and they're not far from the Quick Stop convenience store.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Once I realized where we were, the Quick Stop convenience store from Clerks, I'm like, we got to stop there. So we stopped there, got a picture. It's still a store. It's actually open. It's just a normal convenience store in the town. It was funny seeing people park and go in and buy a few things and come out, and just thinking like this is like a major movie set. There's certain settings in movies where anybody in my generation sees that and knows it. And these people are just going in and out of the store it's just their normal convenience store for them. But to anybody who's a big fan of Clerks, it was just wild seeing it as an active store. But we were only there for a few minutes. After we left there, we went to the reason we went down that way in the first place. Frank, you got your first at bat.
Yeah, it was the New Jersey Amateur Baseball Association, I believe it's called, the Somerset Cardinals.
They invited you down to.
Yep, took an at bat, and the field conditions were, well, let's say not ideal. If it was, the field was brown.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
umpire
The
umpire was changing in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And
we got there around 2, and I noticed the game was supposed to start at 2. We were walking to the field, and you see the umpire putting his pants on in the parking lot. That was yeah. So it's a amateur association. It's basically a bunch of guys that still want to play baseball. It's I think any kind of like adult league. It was baseball. So like if you picture any kind of adult league, kickball, softball kind of league, except these guys play baseball.
Yeah.
That was pretty much what it was.
They have uniforms.
Yeah, they have uniforms.
90% of the players wear.
Well, most of them had uniforms. I think all the Cardinals had uniforms. I don't think some of the other guys, the pitcher definitely didn't have uniforms.
The other team didn't have uniforms. The Cardinals did.
Yeah. But basically, so you had me drive an hour and a half out to Hillsborough County or wherever it was.
Hillsborough.
To take an at bat for an amateur baseball team. Like a beer league, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was a beer league minus the beer. And now you had mentioned they were nice guys. They were nice guys on the team and everything. You mentioned that you expected the field to be more of like a college field.
Or at least high school.
Or high school. And my question was, why did you have that expectation?
I don't know. They had a nice logo, a nice look, good. Though they don't have many followers, they had a good IG account, and they've been talking to me for 3 years to try to get out and see one of their games.
Mm-hmm.
And if I said, all right, I'll go out and see a game, and yeah,
there you go. So just a message to everyone out there: if you have an Instagram account with a logo on it, and you ask Frank enough times, he will come to your baseball game and hit for you. Is that not accurate, Frank?
I
just have to ask you enough times.
Yep.
There you go. So this team, the Cardinals, were a lucky first. But again, to anyone else out there, if you have any kind of sports league whatsoever, no matter what level it is, Frank he's a man of the people. And so whatever sports league you have, whether it's an adult league, beer league, anything, mostly amateur is what I think he wants. But wherever you are, if you have an Instagram account for your team, message Frank, pester him, message him, bother him. And if you do that enough, he will come to your game.
I don't know what
Good
to
luck,
say.
Frank.
I don't know what to say. I expected something more. They basically.
But why? But why?
They had a nice logo.
Where did the expectation come from?
They had a nice logo.
Say what?
They had a nice logo.
They had a nice logo. Okay, well there. Okay, so we're here. So Instagram account with a nice logo. Pester Frank, bother Frank, come to your game. And if you're lucky, he'll take an at bat, pitch. What else? He'll free throw you. If it's a beer pong league, he'll do a celebrity shot for you. Whatever it is, if you have a cool logo on Instagram and you bother Frank enough, he will come to you. I'm actually interested. I am interested to see. I'm interested to see what kind of people, like what kind of teams and leagues start messaging on Instagram. Maybe we'll do like a segment like Frank's invites or something like that, where we just go over who all invited you where to do what. Maybe we'll start a segment doing that. What do you think?
Maybe.
We're like, oh, this week I got invited by the beer league of Idaho shot. That'd be funny. So
some guy wanted me to go.
So that's
some guy invited me to go fishing in Minnesota.
Yeah, that guy's a murderer. I think for your first time fishing, we should probably stick to Barstool Outdoors for your first time.
Yeah,
but that's Barstool.
But what do we do? You know, the beer league baseball game may not have been the greatest thing, but tomorrow is something that's going to be momentous. This Wednesday, we're going to be making pizzas at Calabria's in Livingston.
Yeah,
and all the money is going to go to the
8.
Barstool Fund. Yeah, so 6 to 8 come to Calabria's in Livingston. Me and Doug's will be making pizzas, and all the money will be going to the Barstool Fund. So you'll not only be seeing us getting pizzas, I promise not to burn it, and you'll be helping a good cause. You'll be helping businesses stay in business. You know, I've gone a lot of hot dog places, and some of them are no longer around anymore. A place I liked in Pittsburgh called Franctuary couldn't afford its rent anymore. They're gone.
Yeah. So coming out to Calabria's Wednesday, July 20th, 6 to 8. Not only will Frank and I be behind the counter with the pizza ovens, but Stu Feiner will also be there working the door as a host. It's going to be a fun night. If you can't come out, if you can't make it out, order a pizza. Order the pizza, give them a call, tell them you want the units to make your pie. If you're not actually in New Jersey, but you still want to call and order up a pizza, I think we might be able to work it out where, we'll take, whatever the money for that pizza would have cost, and instead of making the pizza, we'll just put a straight donation to the Barstool Fund. So we can do that too.
It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night. And there's no baseball tomorrow. The All-Star game, it's the All-Star break. It's really the deadest sports night of the year. Is the day after the All-Star game.
All right, so we'll be at Calabria's tomorrow night, and then we're still working out. Times and everything, but we hope to be at the National at the end of July, and then possibly in Canton for the Hall of Fame game on August 4th, I think. So the August Hall of Fame game this year is the Raiders versus the Jaguars, and obviously Tony Baselli, the first Jacksonville Jaguar, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. So I think we'll probably make it for that as well. So we got a lot of stuff coming. Again, Calabria's tomorrow night. If you're not in New Jersey, still go ahead and give us a call and ask for the units to make your pie, and hopefully we can get a bunch of donations to the Barstool Fund. That is Barstool Units. Frank, please take us out.
Feeling strong now, gonna fly. I had to send Doug's off to get ready to train. So see you next week. Click like, subscribe.
See you next time.